Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaraachaarya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. त्रैलोक्यनाथ हरिमीड्यमुदार सत्वं शक्तेस्तनूजतनयं परमेष्ठिकल्पं जीमूतमुक्तविमलाम्बरचारुवर्णं वासिष्ठमुग्रतपसं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. We were looking at how the world is mithya or unreal because it is an effect. The Acharya in the verse 116, if you see, starts a topic here to show that the world is unreal, whatever we perceive as the world, because only by establishing the mithyatvam of the Jagat, simultaneously we are establishing the satyatvam of Atma, Paramatma, Brahman, Sadvastu, whatever is the name you can give it. So here the principle used is that the effects are all only names and forms. The effects are born, they are sustained, then they are resolved or they are destroyed, as we call it, correct? They become unmanifest. In fact, in our understanding, there is no real creation. Understand that. The Siddhanta is that all the effects are already potentially there in the cause. In fact, Vedantin is called a Satkaryavadi. Okay. Satkaryavadi means what? The Nayayikas and others say that their karya was not there before, it was non-existent. Then it comes into being. That which was non-existent becomes existent is their vada. The Vedantin does not accept that. Vedantin says, how can something which is non-existent can even come into existence? In fact, the Gita is very clear about that, correct? The Gita in the verse 216, Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. The entire Vedanta is only this much, in fact. It's very easy. This one verse is good enough, in fact. So, that which is sataha, abhavaha na vidyate, that which is existent can never become non-existent. That which is non-existent does not have any existence. In fact, this looks like some silly statement, but the entire Vedantic teaching is there in this. In fact, Bhagavan says in the next line, Ubhayorapi drishtontaha tvanayos tattvadarshibhihi, he says. So the one who sees the truth, these two things, is a tattvadarshi, is the one who has understood the reality, the truth. So whatever is non-existent can never come into existence. In fact, the same is also detailed commentary is there on the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is a portion called Ghatabhashya. I think it is the 1-1, the first chapter, second Brahmana, first Vakya of Brihadaranyaka. There, Bhashyakara has written a long commentary taking up the different views about what is a cause, what is an effect, how does an effect come from the cause. All these topics are discussed there. And Bhashyakara explains there also that which is non-existent can never come into existence. Then what is creation really? So he explains that creation is nothing but the unmanifest becoming manifest. Whatever is already unmanifest, whatever is potentially existing alone becomes manifest. That we call creation. So it's really a manifestation. Everything is already potentially there. Understand that. In fact, everything is potentially there in Ishvara. That's why Ishvara is all knowledge. Ishvara is all resources. Correct? Ishvara is everything. When we say, understand that everything is already there in Ishvara. If everything is not already there, the Ishvara's Sarvajñatvam itself will come into a question mark. Understand that. Because you cannot have knowledge of something which is non-existent. In fact, Bhashyakara, in that Ghata Bhashya, one of the arguments he gives is very interesting. He says the yogis and all these great people have knowledge about all Trikala, he says. They even know the future. Then how can you say that whatever is in future did not exist? Whatever is potentially there alone becomes manifest, and that can be even known ahead of time and all that. Understand that. So the idea is that only manifestation happens. Manifestation is sustained, and again it becomes unmanifest. When one effect becomes unmanifest, then the cause can manifest as another effect. Understand that. That's why, in fact, one more argument which is asked is, if already it is there, then why should we even make any effort to create it? Correct? If whatever you are creating is already there, why should we even make any effort? Is one of the questions the Purva Pakshi asks. Then Bhashyakara there gives a very interesting answer. He says, if it is potentially not there, nobody will even make any effort, correct, to create it. If the pot is potentially not there in the clay, no potter will even make an effort to create a pot out of clay, correct? Why should we even make any effort? The very fact that we are making an effort to create something shows that it is potentially already there. Whatever is potentially not there, if nobody is going to the clay to make something which cannot be made of clay, correct? So he turns the argument against the person who is asking that. Even the very effort to make something is there only because potentially it is there. And all the effort is only to make whatever is potentially there manifest it, correct? Or one already, see, if pot is there as some kind of a powder, let us say, correct? You start with some clay powder, and from there only you pour some water and all that and make a pot, let us say. And the water again you burn it off, it goes away or it evaporates away. So initially clay was in the form of powder. That is one effect. All your effort is to now make the powder unmanifest and pot manifest. That is our argument. But for that, the pot has to be there already, potentially. Is that clear? Then only we will even make any effort. Like this, there it's a beautiful commentary there. And why I am saying this is, the idea is that the Karana Buddhi is always there. Pot is there means clay is there, correct? In fact, clay was there, pot was not there. So clay is there, pot is not there to start with. In fact, clay is there, pot is there. Now you have created the pot. Clay is there, pot is not there because you have destroyed the pot. You have broken it, whatever. You have again created, you have made the pot into a powder again, let us say. So the idea here is avyabhichari, we say. Whatever is avyabhichari means what? That which never changes, that which is invariable, that alone is satyam, that alone is the reality. Whatever is vibhichari, whatever is changing, whatever comes and goes, cannot be called as real. It has, or you have to at least say it has a lower order of reality, correct? We do not say that you don't perceive it or anything. Perception does not make something real. Understand that. So this is what the Upanishad is trying to teach. Acharya also is trying to teach that here. So he says the Shruti is teaching that this entire Srishti is all Anritam by using lot of Udaharanas, he says. It gives you a lot of analogies and all that. Okay. Pravadanti Upamana Shataihi, he says. So hundreds of analogies are given. And now one initially he takes up, says that the body is made up of three types of In English, they call it humor. I don't know what humor is really. That's how they translate the Vata, Kapha, and Pitta in Ayurveda is translated into English as humors. So Vata is a humor. I don't know. Humor may be some term in English, but which has generally it has a different meaning what we understand, correct? So anyway, here body is made up of these three things. That means those three things are only real. What you consider as body is not real. Similarly, the world also, all the activities in the world are happening due to three things, he says. That's there. He has picked it up from Chandogya Upanishad 6th chapter only, which are what? Ravi, Vanhi, Shashi, sun, fire and moon, because all activities happen in some light only, correct? We require light for some activity. Nowadays, electricity and all is there, that we can include in Vanhi. Also some kind of energy, correct? So, sun, fire and moon are the ones which are responsible for all activities here. Similarly, all activities in your body is due to Vata, Kapha and Pitta. In fact, if one becomes more, then your activities, your bodily activities, even your mental disposition and all changes. Correct? We all know that. If all these things are in equilibrium, in fact, in Ayurveda, correct? How do you attain health? Means you have to keep these three things in equilibrium. Then you are healthy. Otherwise, what? It is disease. When something goes out of balance, inequilibrium is there, means there is a problem. So Acharya points this out. So he takes up the individual, he takes up the total. In both he shows that the Karanam is Satyam. Whatever is dependent has a dependent existence, correct? Whatever has a dependent existence is Mithya, Anritam. Okay. And Shruti uses these analogies. In fact, the Shruti starts with three analogies in the Chandogya about the clay pot, gold and jewelry, and iron and any iron implement like a nail cutter. So, in all these things, the Shruti says that the Vikara or modification is only a name. It is dependent on language. It is only a name. What really exists is only the clay, the iron, the gold, like that. So, those three analogies it has given, and then it is expanding that to this entire creation, because it says that Sadvastu alone was there to start with, one without a second, correct? Only one without a second. Ekameva Advitiyam. One only without a second. Sadvastu alone was there, and then Tadaikshata, it saw, it visualized, it identified with its all knowledge and visualized everything, and from there came the whole world. And in fact, initially these Panchabhutas have come, and then they mix with each other and all that, and then the whole elemental world has come. That is our model of creation. Now in this, Shruti again takes up one example. It says that you have flame, correct? Fire. But the flame itself has different colors. It has a red color, it has a dark color, it has a bright white color, let us say. So the different colors of the Agni, flame, they are all what? One color. The red color is from the Agni. The white is from, like this, there are different. White is from water, and the dark one is from Anna, like that. Those three only are real. In fact, the colors of the flame, the flame itself is from the, one part of the flame is from the, whatever we call the Tanmatra or the element, which is the fire, Agni, then there is water, and then Annam is earth, Prithvi. So all these three things are there. So they are only real. Whatever you call as fire is only a compound. It's an aggregate. What is real is whatever makes up the aggregate alone is real. And then whatever makes up the aggregate also, further if you see, it will end up in Sadvastu. That is the whole idea. Initially, we are giving the analogy. Understand that the analogy is only given to teach you something else, correct? The general principle. Analogy is a specific instance, so that from that specific instance, we understand a general principle. In fact, all inference is done like that, correct? Because the inference is based on what we call a vyapti, means invariable concomitance. The invariable concomitance is the principle. But we also give always a udaharana. So we say, wherever there is fire, there is smoke. It's not, in fact, that's not correct. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That is the invariable concomitance we have. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That is the principle. But when we give the inference, at least the traditional way of presenting it is that yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vanhihi yatha mahanase, like in the kitchen. Okay, this you have given. So like in the kitchen, you have smoke and there is fire. Similarly, you have seen smoke somewhere else on the hill. And then you say now fire is there. Why? Because yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vanhihi yatha mahanase. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire, like in the kitchen. And now I am seeing smoke on the hill, therefore hill is on fire. Okay, that is the idea there. Now, like this here also, the Shruti is giving you this example of fire. Okay, to point out the constituents of the fire itself. The whatever we see as the gross fire is constituted of more subtle things. Those subtle elements themselves have come from only Sadvastu. Therefore, only finally the Sadvastu alone is Satyam. Whatever we see, all the elements and elementals, everything, they are all only Vikara, correct? They are all only modifications. They are all only names and forms without any substance. The substance alone is real. Substance is the material cause or the karana. So that's what we have to understand. The Acharya then gives another example in 120. He talks about gold and jewelry. Okay. So jewelry itself, each jewelry, whether it is bangle, chain, whatever it is, there is a name, correct? There is, and the name has a meaning because the name points to a certain form. But the name may point to a form, but both name and form do not have any substance. Understand that. They don't have any independent existence of themselves. Therefore, they have to be known as asat only. Asat iti avagamyate, he says. Eva. Why? Because vibicharavati, because the form, name and form keeps changing. Today it is a gold chain. Tomorrow you give it to a pawn. You go to the bank and pledge the gold. Take a loan. Then you are not able to repay the loan. The interest has become too much. In fact, the interest is so much now. It has become more than the value of the golden thing itself. So you just opt out. You don't take your whatever jewelry back. Means the bank is not interested in jewelry. Understand that. They are jnani with respect to all jewelry. They are only interested in gold. So they may even melt it again. Then what? Vibhicharavati. Jewelry is gone, but gold is still there, correct? Gold is avyabhichari. At least relatively, gold is avyabhichari, correct? In fact, that's why it is called precious metal, correct? Why is gold precious metal? Because it doesn't undergo change easily even in nature. You keep gold, it will be there. Gold, platinum and all that. Chemically also, if you see, their chemical structure is such that they do not react very easily with anything else. So it remains as it is without undergoing any change. That's why they are precious metals and they are valued also. Their value is because of the non-changing nature. But even that can be changed. Okay, it undergoes some chemical reactions it may undergo, or nuclear way also we can change. You change the nucleus itself, radioactively you can change it to something else and all that. That is still possible. but it is relatively avyabhichari. So all the forms are all vibhichari. They keep on undergoing change. Therefore, they are not real. But he says in the next, up to this only we came, I think, last time. So I just gave a broader introduction now. Na kadachidapi vibhicharavati kanakadi matihi, but the gold cognition, kanakadi mati means gold cognition, does not go away. Even though the jewelry cognition, one jewelry can become another jewelry, or jewelry just becomes gold bar. So jewelry is vibhicharavati, gold is avyabhichari. Okay, it doesn't change. Similarly, whatever is satyam, whatever we call satyam should not change, correct? In fact, Bhashyakara defines it like that. If you go to the satyam jnanam anantam brahma, like that, the second Valli of Taitriya starts, correct? Brahmavida apnoti param tadesha bhyukta satyam jnanam anantam brahma. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma, there is a big bhashya is there. Now, when Bhashyakara comments on satyam, the word, he defines what is satyam. What is satyam? Yad rupena yen nishchitam bhavati, tad rupena tanna vyabhicharati iti satyam. That is the definition he gives. Yad rupena yen nishchitam bhavati means what? You have cognized something as this in a certain way, correct? Once you have cognized something as this, tanna vyabhicharati, it never changes. It is always the same. It never undergoes any change. Then it is satyam. But yad rupena yen nishchitam bhavati tad vibhicharati. Tad rupam vibhicharati means what? Tad anritam. That is not true. If it keeps changing, now in this entire srishti, only one thing is unchanging. What is that? In every cognition. So this part of the Bhasha is very beautiful. In the Gita Bhasha, he talks about this. Each and every cognition you take, consciousness is the invariable in every cognition, correct? If you know something, let us say, correct, you know that this pen is there, means pen consciousness is, then only it is visible, it is cognized, correct? Whenever you cognize something, that consciousness is, pen cognition is, then you cognize something, table consciousness is, on the table there is apple consciousness is, and then orange consciousness is, milk cognition is, whatever you are seeing, you are cognizing so many things. The things keep on varying. But consciousness is, that is called sadbuddhi. He says sadbuddhi never changes. Everything is, you have to cognize it as is only. That is consciousness is the invariable. Pratibodha viditam matam. The same thing is said in the Kenopanishad also. In each bodham prati viditam. The truth is known in each and every cognition. In fact, we take it for granted. We miss it. We are also interested in the names and forms. We miss the obvious, which is that the consciousness is the invariable, and that alone is satyam, and that is you. In fact, you are that consciousness. It's not separate from you. And that is the entire teaching of Vedanta, correct? Vedanta is nothing but understanding this, that I am never the known. Whatever is known is not me. That's all is Vedanta. In fact, the entire Vedanta sadhana is very simple. I am not what I know. That's all you have to be. You have to be alert to. Let me say that, correct? It's only being alert to this knowledge that I am not what I see. And I am the invariable consciousness in every cognition. That means whatever you are cognizing, it's all changing, means it's all mithya. It is not at the same level of reality as yourself. It cannot even touch you. It cannot do anything to you really. So you don't have to have any fear. You are not even subjected to space-time, because space-time also is cognized by you, correct? So it's all, you are there even when there is no space-time. That also is there in our everyday experience. It's nothing great. So I exist. I don't require anything to exist. I exist as I am always. Everything else comes and goes. That's all only mithya. I am the limitless conscious being who is the karana for everything, whatever is there here. And that's what one has to understand. I am this Satya Vastu, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is myself. So that's what is the teaching. So continuing here, Ruchakadi samam jwalanadi bhaved anrutatva gunena tu satyataya aruna pramukham jwalana prabhriti prakriti tritayam kanakadi samam. Okay, so the Acharya talked about the Upanishad. Upanishad is talking about the jwalana. Correct? The flame. Flame has three constituents. Each belong to, one is belonging to the element fire, another belongs to the element water, like that. So the constituent alone is real. Whatever you call as the flame, it is all unreal. It's only a aggregation, whatever you can say, correct? Compound. Now that how then Acharya also gave another analogy of gold. But the gold analogy also is given by the Upanishad itself in the beginning. Understand that. So now we have to relate the two. Because gold analogy is very easy for us to understand. And from there now you understand whatever fire, not only fire, the Upanishad talks about many things like that. Whatever generally we see in the world, everything can be further looked upon as its constituent. And then constituents themselves have come from only the Sadvastu. That's how the Upanishad leads you to this knowledge that Sadeva Satyam, it says then. Sadvastu alone is Satyam. Everything else which has come from this Sadvastu is only a manifestation. It's only a name and form, and it can again become unmanifest. Therefore, that is the teaching here. So, Ruchakadi Samam, he says. Jwalanadi. The flame, etc. are like the jewelry. Okay. Ruchakadi Samam. Bhaved Anrutatva Gunena. Why it is similar? Because both are Anrita. They are both false. They are both unreal. By our definition of reality, understand? But when I say false, it's not that you don't perceive it or anything like that. In fact, name, form, function also is there. Because the form has a function. Generally, we accept that. Because pot alone can hold water. Clay cannot hold water. So form has a function, but even then, it doesn't have any independent existence of its own. So, they are all Anritatva Gunena tu Satyataya. Aruna Pramukham Jwalana Prabriti Prakriti Tritayam. So, Anritatva Gunena tu, they are Samam. But Aruna Pramukham we know as real. Satyataya Aruna Pramukham. So here we know how the gold is real. Like that we know that this Ravi, Agni, whatever, those are all the constituents. They are the ones which are real. And whatever is the name and form, they are not real. In fact, Jwalana Prabriti Prakriti means what? The Prakriti are the Karana for the flame. The constituents are the Karana, correct? And there are three constituents are there for the flame. They are the ones which are Kanakadi Samam, he says. Okay, they are like the gold. The Aruna, etc. are Kanakadi Samam, and they are the constituents. They are the Prakriti Tritayam, and they are alone known in the form of Satya. The others are known as only Anritam. So he now connects in the Shruti itself. Initially, Shruti talks about gold, etc. Later on, now it is extending. Gold analogy is very easy for us to understand. But Shruti is now presenting the entire world is only an aggregate, correct? It's all compound. So now it is asking you to look at the constituents as the real. Then the constituents themselves are not real because they have also come from only the Sadvastu. So that is the teaching. So initially, Acharya here saying it is all whatever we see here, the jwalana, the flame, etc., are like the jewelry, and whatever the constituents of the flame, the cause for the flame, they are like the gold, they are alone real. Okay. So now further he explains that anayopamaya nritatam avadat. Okay. Avadat shrutiragni divakara chandra samam amrishatvam api shrutiruptavati tritayasya tu rakta purasarinaha. Okay, so here anaya upamaya means by this analogy, upama. Okay, anaya upamaya andritatam avadat means Shruti is saying the andritata, the unreality of the names and forms, correct? Agni divakara chandra samam amrishatvam api Shruti uktavati. So again, so the constituents are the Agni, Divakara and Chandra, let us say, the fire, the sun and the moon, and they are all Amrisha. Relatively, they are real. They are not Mrisha, means they are not false. They are relatively real. So Shruti Uktavati Tritiya Setu Rakta Purasarinaha means because it talks about those, the each constituent is coming from one place, correct? The Rakta is from the Agni, like that it says. Agni up Annam, and then further they themselves have come from other things like that. So the red color, the dark color and the bright color, all these three have come from their constituents, which alone is Satyam. Like that, by talking about the respective constituents, Shruti has shown that the constituent alone is real. Okay, that is the teaching here. So now the Acharya has connected the analogy and the actual whatever is to be taught. That the teaching is that this entire world, Jagat Mityathvam only, the Shruti is trying to teach you. For that, it is using an analogy with which you are very familiar, or with which we can relate to very easily. So now we from the analogy we understand this. Okay. Further what? Anritattvamidam jvalana prabhriter yadavadi bhavet tadudaharanam vitatha vikriti satatam sakala na tatha prakriti shruti nischayataha. Okay, now as I told you already, a udaharana is only to point to a general principle, correct? So first Shruti gives you one udaharanam. That general principle, then it applies to certain things, correct? It has applied to flame, it is applying it to something else, let us say. Then what? Then the idea is that it is not only particularly about flame. Flame itself is having a constituent. There also you have to further apply it. The general principle has to be now applied everywhere, and then it will lead you to the knowledge that Sadvastu alone is Satyam. Even the constituents which are like Aruna, etc., correct? The sun, moon and fire, etc., are also Andrita only. Understand that? Because the same principle we can apply on them. So he now in 124, Acharya is trying to apply this general principle now, which we have understood from the Udaharana, from the analogy, to everything. So he says, Andritattvam idam jvalana prabhritehe yad avadi. So whatever flame, etc., about which the Shruti now has pointed out that is Andrita, it is unreal because its constituent alone is real. But that itself is again udaharana only, he says. Bhavet tad udaharanam. That also is only one instance in the Srishti. Now that general principle you have to apply to the entire Srishti now. So he says, Vitata vikritihi satatam sakala. All the modifications. Vikriti means what? Vikritihi is modification. Shruti started about vikara only, correct? Vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam, it said initially. That is the general principle. Any vikara is only name and form. Any modification is name and form. The substance is Brahman alone. Sadvastu alone is there. So all modifications are always Vitata. Means they are all false. They are unreal. They are only appearances really. Okay. But the Prakriti means what? Whatever is the Karana. Jagat Karanam is Satyam. Correct? Na tata Prakriti Shruti Nischayataha. But the Karanam itself is not like that. Why we have to say this? Because the Buddhist says that there is no Karanam also. We are called Sat Karyavadi. Buddhist is called Asat Karanavadi because they don't accept the Karana itself. They say everything is only void, Shunya, etc. The Nayayikas and others are called Asat Karyavadi because they say the Karya was not there, then it got created newly. It came from the Karya was non-existent, the non-existent Karya came into being. They are called Asat Karyavadi. So there are a lot of people who are Asat Karyavadi. Sankhya and Vedantin only say Satkaryavadi we are. Sankhya also accepts Satkaryavada. Means they also say the Karya is already there. And whatever is there only manifests. And the Buddhists are Asat Karanavadi because they don't accept both Karya and Karana. Everything is Maya for them. So here we have to say that whatever is modification, all the modifications are unreal. But that doesn't mean there is no underlying reality to them. Correct? In fact, unless there is something which is there, you cannot do any superimposition on that. The adhyasa is not possible if there is no adhisthana. Okay. Therefore, the prakriti or the karana has to be there, and that is not like that. That is not vitata. That is satyam. In fact, that is satya vastu for us. Okay. So vitata vikritihi satatam sakala. So all the things which are modifying, which are changing, they are all vitata, they are all false. But natatha prakritihi, but the underlying cause which is there, that prakriti is not, it is not vitata, it is not false, it is not unreal. That is the only real thing in fact. Sadeva satyam. That is the Shruti Nischayata. That is what is ascertained by the Shruti. From whatever is ascertained in the Shruti, we understand this. That all modifications are false, but the Karana is true. That's why Brahman is presented as Jagat Karana. Athato Brahma Jignasa, then Janmadhyasya Yataha. Brahman itself is pointed out as the Jagat Karanam only. In the Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Even in the Brahma Sutra. So Brahman and the Upanishads are also presenting Brahman as Jagat Karanam. Only this Karana Karya Prakriya is used only to show that Karana is Satyam, the Karya is Mithya. Another, further we have the implication of that is, since Karya is Mithya, Karanatvam imputed on Brahman also is Mithya. That is very important to understand. At the end of the day, Brahman is neither Karanam nor Karya, nothing. Understand that. The status of being a Karanam itself only is from the standpoint of the Karya. But Karya being Mithya, Karanatvam of Brahman also is Mithya. Brahman is as it is. Understand that. From its own standpoint, it is neither Karanam nor Karyam, nothing is there. That also we have to understand. So, anyway, so the Prakriti is not like that. Further what? Okay, now he is further showing another analogy because he said Upamana Shataihi like that, correct? So he is now showing some other Udaharana also. How the Shruti is teaching is similar to how somebody will teach you in this world also. So he is taking one more thing. Let us see. Pradidarsha Ishurvasanasya yatha vitathatvam apasyati tantu gunam apakrishyatu tantu samam tritayam jvalana pramukhasya tatoktavati. So he already talked about gold and jewelry. Now he is talking about cloth and yarn. Because cloth and yarn is more, we can easily understand as a constituent, correct? So Pradidarsha Ishuhu means what? One who wants to show you something, one who is desirous of showing you something. Correct? Pradidarsha Pradarshana Pradidarsha Ishuhu means Pradidarsha Isha means the desire to show you something. Pradidarsha Ishuhu means the one who is desirous of showing you something. Sanskrit is very expressive that way, correct? So Vasanasya means cloth. Vasana is cloth. Yatha Vitatattvama. So one who wants to show the unreality of the cloth, what will he do? Apasyati Tantu Gunam means he removes all the yarn. You remove the yarn from the cloth, then what? Yarn alone is there. There is no cloth. Yarn alone is the reality. If you separate out the yarns, there is no cloth anymore. Correct? So similarly, whatever Jvalana, flame, etc., we talk about in this world, they are all only shown to be its constituent, the Tritayam. They are made up of three things, the three elements. In fact, in Chandogya Upanishad, only three elements are talked about. Only the Taittiriya talks about the five Mahabhutas. Chandogya talks about only from whatever is visible, the three elements which are visible to the naked eye. So it is based on that. Anyway, so the idea is to show the constituents only are real initially. So like even Tantu, the yarn, Tantu Samam Tritayam here. So previously we said here these three are similar to gold. Now again Acharya is pointing out these three are similar to the yarn. Okay, yarn alone is the real. So that's how Tatoktavati means what the Shruti has said similarly. So like even in the world, somebody who wants to show you the reality of a cloth can show you that yarn alone is real, correct? Similarly, the Shruti is showing you that this flame, etc., is not real, and the constituents of the flame alone is real, like even the yarn is real. When we talk about the cloth, cloth is like the flame, and the three constituents of the flame are like the yarn. This is another analogy where again how the Shruti is trying to teach you, Acharya is explaining that. Then what? Avani pramukham viyadantamidam vikritistu parasya bhavatyaparam anritam tvaparam vikritistu yato avithantu param prakritistu yataha. So now again the Jvalanadi are all only specific instances in the creation. The larger principle is what? Vikara is Vitata. Vikara is false. Modifications are all false. Only the material cause, the substance is the reality. Now he jumps to that. In the next verse, in 126, what Acharya is saying here, Avani Pramukam Vyadantam, starting from this Prithvi up to the Akasha, the space, from earth to space, okay? Everything is only modification, he says, Vikritihi, these are all modifications. And therefore what? And modification of what? Parasya Vikritihi, they are all only modification. Param Brahma, or whatever, you can call it Paravastu, Paramatma. So the Para in English they translate as supreme, I think. So you can translate that, no problem. So that Paravastu alone is Satyam because all these things are modifications of the Paravastu. Like even the jewelry is a modification of the gold. Understand that. In reality, it is called Vivartavada. That's what means the Paravastu does not give up its nature to become all these Vikritis, all the modifications. It remains as itself, but still it appears as all these modifications. Therefore, these modifications, aparam bhavati, they are all aparam. They are not, they are all lower, you can say, higher, lower, supreme, not supreme. All these things you can translate like that. Aparam means you can call it lower or not supreme, not ultimate. Therefore, what? aparam vikritihi to anritam. Therefore, all these modifications which are all aparam, not supreme, not ultimate or lower, they are all anritam, they are all not real. Because they are not real, what? Further what? Because of this reason only, avitatham to param. This param brahma, which is the cause of everything, that is avitatham, means that is not false. That is the ultimate reality. That is ultimate, that is supreme, that is real. Which is prakriti, means which is the cause of this entire srishti. That alone is real. So here the word prakriti should not be understood as, of course, the Maya is called prakriti, correct? Mayam tu prakritim vidyat, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram, and all that is there. But the Maya also is dependent on Brahman. So here when we talk about prakriti, it is actually Brahman, Maya Shabalam Brahma only we have to understand. But Brahman alone is meant by the word prakriti here. Brahman as Jagat Karanam, but Brahman as Jagat Karanam itself is only due to Maya. That is because I told you, correct? Because the Jagat becomes Mithya, means the Karanatvam of Brahman also is Mithya. So the Karana also is only from Maya Drishti. Understand that. That is a very important thing to understand. So anyway, here when Acharya is saying Prakriti, this Prakriti, he is pointing out Brahman as material cause only. But Brahman, the status of being a material cause for Brahman itself is Maya. That much we have to understand very clearly. It is only due to Maya. So anyway, so this Prakriti, this Jagat Karanam Brahma is not false. It is the Satyam, Satya Vastu. It is the only reality. Therefore, what? Finally, Atayeta dasedhi sadukti param namrisheti mrishatu tato nyaditi iti siddhamato yadavadi maya janimad jagadeta dabhutamiti. So now, Acharya, with all the whatever he taught, correct? Different analogies, taking up the Chandogya Shruti, 6th chapter. Finally, now he is summarizing the teaching. What is that? Ataha etad asedhi yadukti sadukti param nam rishayiti. So the sadvastu, because the Upanishad started with Sadeva Saumya idam agre asit ekameva advitiyam. Correct? It started with the sadvastu. That sadvastu is param. Param Brahma. It is the ultimate reality. It is not false. Nam risha. So that's what we have to understand. It has been established, etad asedhi, that the sadvastu is real, it is ultimate, it is supreme, whatever you can say, correct? It is there always, it is the unchanging reality. And anything other than that, okay, mrishatu tataha anyaditi, anything other than that is all, if you see something as other from the sadvastu, it is all only appearance, it's all only mrisha, it is all false, unreal. Iti siddham, this is now established. Sadvastu alone is satyam, everything else is mithya. That has been now established. Iti siddham, it is understood clearly now. Ataha, therefore what? Yad avadi maya, whatever was said by me. Janimat jagad etad abhutam iti, that is also siddham. Therefore ataha siddham. So since sadvastu alone is real, whatever I said, that this entire world which is born and which is sustained and which is again going to get resolved, that which is manifest, that which is sustained, and that which will become unmanifest. Janimat jagat means what? The jagat, the world which has a janma, correct? Which comes into being, which has birth. Whatever has birth will also die. So it is undergoing all this shad bhava vikara. Therefore, it is false. It is abhutam. This jagat is abhutam. That's what Acharya wanted to establish. So he now says that is established because sadvastu alone is satyam. Everything other than that, whatever you perceive, cognize as this world, is all false. They do not exist at the same order of reality. At least we have to understand that. So this is the teaching. So this is very clear. And then he goes on to the mind, etc. Okay, so the individual level. So now the total level he has talked about. So next what? He goes to the individual level. Manasopya nritatvam asedhyamutaha pratipadita hetuta eva bhavet charitam cha tadiyam asatyamataha parinirmita varana cheshtitavat. So here we can see the mind also is unreal. Total, in fact, for most people, understanding the world as unreal is actually easier. Most scientists understand that nowadays. Okay. But the problem is the individuality which is centered on the body mind sense complex. To see that also as unreal is the most difficult thing. Because the knowledge itself is for the individual only, correct? Who is having a problem? Individual is having a problem. So individual wants to solve that problem. Okay. So individual has to acquire knowledge. Knowledge only is the solution. Fine. But what does this knowledge do? This knowledge takes away your very individuality. Understand that. Because whatever whatever I call I is not this individual. The individuality itself comes and goes. Correct? Whatever individuality I have in the waking, we take it too seriously. We take it as real. But you have to see that also as unreal. Because this individuality comes and goes. It's not there always. Whatever individuality you had in the waking state is not there in deep sleep. But I am there. I slept well. I did not know anything. So the I transcends the individuality, which is based on the identity with reference to this body mind sense complex, correct? But this body mind sense complex itself is only elemental. It is also made up of the 5 elements only, correct? Earth, water, all that we can see very easily. Body as carbon and etc., which is all Prithvi. Body, in fact, 75% of body is water, they say. That's why they keep saying every day drink water. You need not say that in India. We all drink a lot of water. They have to tell that in cold countries, I think. You have to drink some water always. And then what? Then fire has to be there. Temperature, at least you have to maintain. Correct? Or we say the digestive fire is there. And then you have to breathe. Vayu has to be there. And there has to be akasha. There has to be space. Otherwise you can't eat. You can't breathe. So all the 5 elements only make up the body. Means body also is along with the, in our model, it is not only physical body, correct? Even the Sukshma Sharira, of which mind is the main thing. The Sukshma Sharira, which includes all the organs of action, sense organs and mind, also is presented by the Shruti as elemental only. They are all coming from these 5 elements. So the body mind sense complex also is equally unreal. The world is unreal. Don't stop with your body mind sense complex. You have to include that also in this. That means along with that, your individuality also is unreal. Because the individuality is based on the identity which you have with this body mind sense complex, but that identity itself is false because it's not there always. It is also Vibhicharavati. In fact, in dream, you can identify with something else, some other body mind sense complex. In deep sleep, there is no identity at all. So, I is only a conscious being. It is not any, all this identity with particular body mind sense complex also is equally unreal. We have to understand that. So that's what now Acharya is pointing that. We'll see further next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ధన్యవాదాలు.